Okay, so let's start. I will introduce what we are doing today. You can ask your questions when you want to. So what I'm going to do today is I'll share my screen first. Before I share my screen, I want to introduce you Onur and Arthur. So Onur and Arthur will help you when you have questions. So how we are going to do it, maybe Onur, you can introduce yourself, and Arthur, could you please, Onur, you start.
So, hello everyone. I'm working with Alper in the bioinformatics core, and I will be on the Slack all the time and try to reply all your questions. And Alper gonna go through the steps that you're gonna follow, I guess.
Arthur, yeah.
Yeah, similarly, I also work with Alper at Biocore as a postdoctoral research scientist, and I'll be on Slack, try to answer your questions if you have one.
So what we're going to do today is that I'm going to share my screen first. Oops. Okay. So we have this GitHub repository. I posted this link into Slack this morning. So you can go here. We are going to use this repository. Every week, I'm going to put a session here. So for example, this week, we're going to do this session 1, Linux environment. So when you click here, you will go to the page that you're going to follow today. So, but before we start doing that, if you haven't registered or joined Dolphin group, please join. So there's a guide here how to join Dolphin group. And also we have this how to use Bootcamp Slack channel tutorial here. You know, when you want to ask your questions. So when you ask, we will try to start a thread here, there, that we will follow up your questions under those threads. So please, when you're answering your, like when you're responding to us, please use those threads. Don't respond somewhere else because it's getting harder to follow up. So you can read it, how to use that and how to create those threads. So you can click here to learn. And another question is always coming to us is the Zoom link. So we are not going to change the Zoom link. So you're going to use exactly the same link every week. So you can put somewhere. And also Onur put that into our Slack channel here. He pinned here. So you can always go and see that link here and click to go there. And again, the GitHub link will be this, UMMS Biocore Bootcamp. So the sessions will be here. So today we're going to do session 1. So I'm going to click here. So another question came, usually we are going to spend 3 hours in every week. So today from 9 to 12 a.m. But we are not going to talk like at all times. So we are going to give you some examples, some tutorials that you're going to follow up those tutorials. And then when you finish, you can come, and we're going to talk about how we are going to go over these things. Okay, today I will start talking about our Linux and Unix environments. So there will be some information here. So every week we will have this kind of tutorials. So what we are doing before, when we were showing these Linux or any other thing, we were giving some like talks, but then we realized that you're not learning much unless you do those things yourself. So we decided writing what you need to do into these pages, and when you follow up all these things, you will learn better when you do it yourself. So, but I'm going to just give you a quick introduction here. So when we talk about application or operating system, hardware, so first of all, I want to go over this, what they are. So I want to start with operating system. Operating systems are the software, actually these are the software that gives you accessibility from application to the hardware. So this makes everything much easier for the applications when they access to the CPU, memory, or hard disk. So a couple of operating systems you are using. Some of you guys are, using Microsoft Windows. I'm using, for example, OS X. This is Mac's operating system. And I'm sure there are people there are using Linux or Unix environments in their computers. So here we are going to learn Unix or Linux. So Unix is developed first in 1960s by Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie. So then some other people worked on these Unix operating system and created another one, which is called Linux. Linus Torvald actually started doing this, and it became open source. So Unix systems are the base of these Linux operating systems, but it started with Unix first. So the machines were looking like this before. It was like a huge machine. And these typewriters here are the terminals that they connect to the machine itself. So that's why you're going to see these are called terminals that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So these Unix-like operating systems are like Linux, OS X, all the other like Solaris, Hurt. These are other, like you can call them like brands. So different brands of the same software. Some of them are open source. Some of them has a priority, like you have to pay to use, for example, Solaris or some other Unix systems. So some companies are using this paid options. The Unix family is, there are many Linux in this Unix family. So for example, in our cluster, we are mostly using Red Hat or CentOS, these two. But you're going to see in the future, we like using Ubuntu when we are installing some software into some containers or images that we're going to show you in the future. So these are all open source software, open source operating systems. But if in the future, if you have a company, you can get some support from Red Hat, for example, to solve the problems faster in the operating system. Some of them are like Solaris. They are also, you pay to use their system. They are not giving you for free. So what is the terminal? Terminal is actually a software that emulates this old world. Like there were like these kind of teletype writer before to access this computer. So maybe some of you guys maybe remember the old times that in the bank there was like in banks there were huge computers, but the people who are using that huge computer, they had to access them using some like terminals, like some teletype writers. So they were like small computers. They didn't have disk on it. They didn't have anything on them. They are just like a keyboard and a screen. They were actually connecting to the big computer, and they were called terminals. That's why we still call this terminal, like black screen we are going to use today, as terminals. So the name is coming from there. So when you connect to the cluster, you're going to see this page. So I can actually do it and show you what they are. So when you connect to the cluster with your username and password, GHPCC06, ummsrc.org. So you need to enter your password. So you're going to see these instructions here. You can read what it is. There are some information here to solve your problems using their discussion boards, or there are some links to learn how to use GHPCC. There's some documentation. When you go there into these links, you can learn how to use a cluster too. But we're going to go over these things, how to use the cluster or Linux system today and next week. And when you need a support from the cluster people, so you can send an email to this hpcc that's support@umassmed.edu. Okay, just or HPCC admins. So when you send your email, they're going to solve your problems, especially when you forget your password or when you need extra space to process your data. You need to send your emails to these people. And there is another thing here, UMSRC.org column 444. I'm going to show you what this is. This is a great web interface that you can utilize cluster resources to run RStudio or Jupyter notebooks. So we're going to show this in the next weeks. And there are other information you can see. There are some notifications here when they are going to upgrade the systems, or when when there's a problem in the cluster. When you connect here, you're going to see those news here. So just read them. If they're exactly the same for a long time, that's fine. But sometimes you learn when they are going to shut down the cluster, when they're upgrading the systems. Okay, so here, these are the welcome message that you're going to learn what's going on in the cluster when you connect. And here, so this is the prompt. So when you log in, you're going to see your username, GHPCC06. Just look here, you are in the head node. We're going to talk about what the head node is, what the child nodes are in the future. But when you come here, so you're going to see this dollar sign, and you can write your commands here. For example, one of the command will be ls, see, or ls -l. You're going to learn these. And when you write these commands, you can list your files in your home directory. So there are a couple of things I want to tell you here in about this system. Maybe I can just skip these. Okay, so when you connect to the cluster, like I did, so the place here you're using, this command line you're using is inside of a shell. It's called, now I'm using, for example, bash, or there are other shells. So to use the terminal, you need these kind of shells to be able to access to the hardware of that machine, that server. So these are called Unix shells. Okay, the commonly used one is bash. Sometimes you can see another shell like just sh or zsh. These are not that important. These are mostly advanced. For advanced users, they can have different functionalities, but usually you're going to use this bash shell. So it has different functionalities. It has different commands when you use these shells, but just you're going to use bash in all these tutorials. So when you connect to the cluster, if you're using Windows, again, you need to download PuTTY. I'm sure many of you guys already downloaded it. And what you need to do in PuTTY, there are parameters that you can define. And one of them is host name. You need to write the host name of the cluster. This is the head node of our cluster. And the port will be 22. And the connection type will be SSH. So when you connect like this, it's going to ask your password, and then you're going to use the same thing. Like you're going to come here and you're going to see the command line. And this is different a little bit when you use PuTTY. If you want to copy and paste some of the commands or your password, so you need to right click. So one thing is, somebody is calling me. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna wait a sec. Sorry. Guys. Okay, so yeah, when you like paste anything, copy and paste anything into your terminal, in PuTTY you need to use the right click in your mouse, and then it will pass those. It's clumsy. I don't like too much PuTTY, but it's fine. You know, it's how it is. It helps you when you connect to the cluster. So the other thing here about PuTTY is, so when you, or PuTTY or other terminal, when you use Linux or Mac, so they have also terminal. You're just going to use this Spotlight search, and then when you search the terminal, you're going to open it. And then when you open it, it's going to open this black screen, and then you're going to do the SSH. But here, when you enter your password, I get lots of questions about it. So when you're writing your password there, it is not writing anything to the screen. Okay, it's not like writing anything to the screen. But you might feel like you're not writing your password. Actually not. You're writing your password. You have to finish all the password and then press enter to log in. So it's going to be the same for PuTTY. So it's not going to show anything on the screen while you're writing your password. So, and I'm going to talk about the convention. So this dollar symbol here, you're going to see, is called prompt. When you write any command here, like ls or copy or move, so you're going to learn all these commands. So you need, when you see in this tutorial $your command, don't write dollars there. Okay, don't write extra dollars here. Dollars mean here in our tutorial, just write your command next to dollar. So for example, this is host name is a command. When I write host name here, sorry, you're going to see the name of the host. This is GHPCC06. So when you're writing the same thing on your machine, for example, here, this is, I am not connected to my cluster now. So when I write host name here on my laptop, see, this is the name of my laptop computer. Okay, so you need to be aware where you are when you're running your commands. So you have to be on the cluster while you're running anything. If you're like, sometimes it can drop, like maybe your connection is not good, or you left your computer a couple of hours and then the connection dropped. So that can be, you have to be aware where you are when you're running any of those commands in the tutorial. So for example, now I exit, and when I connect again, see, you have to come here. You have to see your username, GHPCC06, for example, when you're running anything. Make sure that you are connected to the cluster. When you want to exit from the cluster, you can either use exit, enter, it's going to exit from the cluster, or you can use like Control D. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to log out from cluster. So these are some basics that you have to be aware where you are when you're running these commands. So now today, I'm not going to talk forever like this, but so I want you to start doing all these things here. And then when you have questions, when you don't understand anything, you're going to ask us, and we are going to help you to understand what we are doing here. For example, when you write this echo hello world here, I'm not connected again. By the way, am I dropping sometimes? You can talk.
No, we can clearly hear you.
Okay, good. Because my internet connection is not always good. So, and see, I dropped here this terminal. It's not working. I open another one with like command tab. We'll open another tab in this terminal, and then I connected again to run this, for example, echo hello world. See, when you do this echo anything, it will write this hello world to the screen. Okay, so but when you write anything wrong here, echo like hello world, for example, you're going to see this command not found error. So you're going to see this many times when you're doing this tutorial. But I want you to tell you something. So any command you use here, like echo, for example, so if you don't use a space just after echo, like for example, if I just write like this, there is no such command. Okay, and then you're going to get this error. So you have to always put a space after a command you're using. Echo, for example, another thing, honor, and it will write honor to the screen. Okay, so just make sure these spaces or like lowercase, uppercase characters are important here. So if you just write like this echo, Onur, it's not going to work. There is no such command. So this all this shell is case sensitive shell that requires to write exactly the same characters when you're writing your commands. Just this is like you need to know when you're running all these things. You will learn today, for example, creating a directory or exploring your file system. I'll go over them, by the way. I'll give you to finish these things till, for example, I'll set time until half of it, and then we're going to go over these things and answer your questions, and then we're going to move more. So just before we start anything in Linux, we have this kind of directory structure. So when you see the slash at the top, this is the root of all the directories in the storage. So here, for example, when I do this in the cluster, ls to get a list. So this is the root folder in the cluster. So you're going to see this. Root means everything starts from here. All the other directories, folders, starts from the top. Usually you don't have a permission to write anything, any of these folders. You can only write or you can only see the folders, write the folders only in your home directory that I'm going to talk about in a second. And also there is a TMP directory here. This is a temporary directory that there are many files here. If you need to use something temporarily, you can just copy them here or write them here and then use it and then delete later, for example. If you don't delete, they are deleting this every month or so. So here, when you are like when I'm here, for example, in my home, you're going to learn all these commands in this tutorial, but I just want you to understand all this directory structure. So when I use, for example, tree command in example, see, you can actually see the directory structure. So in this example directory, I have a backup directory and 2 files here. So with tree command, you can actually see all the directory structure. When you're organizing your files, you need to learn how to create new directories, how to navigate in between these directories. For example, you're going to learn cd command, change directory. So if I want to go to example directory, I'm going to use like this cd example. See, and there's another command you're going to learn today is pwd, print working directory. It's going to be show you the directory you are on right now. For example, here home, this is my username and example, because I changed my directory to example. So I'm going to go over the details, but today what I'm expecting from you to learn is to change the directory and to create a new directory, to copy the files from one directory to another, or move the files or directories to another directory and print them. And eventually you're going to learn today how to zip these directories to move these files from one server to another. So what you're learning today is very important, because you need these skills to use them while you're copying your files from one server to another. From, for example, you sequence your files in a facility, maybe third-party sequencing facility. You need to copy those files from their servers to your server, to our cluster, for example. You're going to learn these kind of things and how to zip files, how to extract files. So now let's I want you to go over, start from here, getting started, or you can read whatever we have here. We wrote all the explanations, and I want you to come here to the file section. Like I want you to finish rename directory. I want you to finish till here, and then I will talk about, I will go over the things that you did very fast, and then I will come here and I'll talk about the file permissions. That is going to be important for you when you're sharing your files with your collaborators or with your peers in your lab. So you need to set these permissions right if you want them to see these files, or if you want them to change these files, or you want to keep them to yourself, you need to set these permissions right. So I give you now half an hour, so around like 10, I want you to finish till here, and around 10 I will start talking again, and in the meantime we will answer your questions while you're doing this.